Illustrations by Pete.
Hello everyone, welcome to another video, and today I'm going to show a new pen that I got. It is a glass dip pen, and the reason that I wanted it is because it has this sparkly sand in it here, but it's like an hourglass. I don't know if that's picking that up or not. It's not quite an hour. It goes in pretty quick, but I thought it was a cool design, so I wanted to get my hands on it. I've been wanting a glass pen for a while, and I just never picked one up because I wasn't sure exactly which one I wanted. I wanted it to look nice and feel nice, and I heard that they feel a little scratchy on paper, so I did not want that to happen. But well, we'll see how this goes. It's pretty interesting. I don't know if it's picking it up real well on the camera or not, but yeah, it's pretty interesting. It just looks neat. It's just a novelty thing. But the glass dip pen comes with the little stand, so that when you are writing and you want to take a break, you can just rest it there. It doesn't touch the table. And it also comes with this ink. And I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but see that stripe? Yeah, you can. Okay, that stripe right there, that's some kind of sparkly stuff. I don't know what it is, but I think it's one of those things where you shake it up, mixes in with the rest of the ink, and then shimmers, like a shimmer ink or something like that. I will definitely try that out. But it's a cool little pen, and that's it. That's all that comes in the box. It's got a nice case for it so that it doesn't get destroyed. You can keep this on if you want to. It goes on, stays on pretty easily, so you don't accidentally hit the tip if you have it in a cup or something like that, and you don't crack the tip off. But it's nice. So I'm going to see how this works. I'm not really familiar with how these work. I know the ink gets in the little grooves, and it just kind of acts as a feed to the tip. But I have heard them, some people say that they're a little bit annoying, that they drip ink everywhere, and some of them say that it's just fine as long as you use it the right way and you clean the tip off after you dip it. It works just like any other dip pen, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, so I didn't end up using the ink that came with it. I wanted to see how it worked with some other things, so I used the Liquitex has some acrylic inks, and I wanted to see how those work. So that's what I used for most of the video. Right there is a muted gray. I also used the muted pink. I think I used a little bit on the muted turquoise and some of the muted violet. I did not use the muted green, but it does come with that. It also comes with a titanium white. It's like a little 6-piece set. There's pretty cool colors. I tend to use muted palettes, so I really enjoyed the colors. They were nice for me. But I also used the Dr. P.H. Martin's Bombay India ink. I used the brown. You'll see a little section in the top of that lower lump there that I just put into place. But you know, to my surprise, I want to say that the pen is it's a lot smoother than what I've heard. I heard that it was like writing with a needle, or writing with a pen, or maybe even writing with a technical pen. Some of the smaller technical pens, like the isographs and things like that, they tend to scratch the paper a little bit. And the paper that I'm using here is the Etcher Sketchbook hot press paper, and that paper is a little bit soft. It's not as hard as like a Bristol paper is. Like if you have a Bristol Smooth, you have a pretty hard paper that you're writing on. But this tends to be a little bit softer. It's a little bit of a cushion on it. And sometimes those isographs get caught on them. And I always use hot press watercolor paper. When I draw, I almost never use Bristol. So that's just a personal preference. And it's mainly because I do a lot of washes with mine, do ink washes or watercolor washes over them sometimes. And I like the way that they feel. I like the way that they work. And they're predictable for me. I tend to stick with a couple of brands, and I just like the way that they are. But this pen on this paper, it was like a little bit of a dried out fine liner. but it was not scratchy at all. It didn't scratch the paper, didn't bruise the paper at all. It was very nice. It was a very pleasant experience, and I'm very happy because I was nervous. I wanted a glass dip pen for so long, and my wife bought me one for Christmas, and I just wanted it to be what I wanted it to be, and it was. It was very nice. I enjoyed the experience. It's something I'll definitely work with when I want to use colored inks. It's hard sometimes. Use a dip pen, and those tend to scratch the paper quite a bit, especially, well, depending on the tip. You get more of a flat or broad tip, but I like to draw a little bit finer lines, and you can see this one's fairly fine. So I don't have to worry about cleaning out brush pens or anything like that. I can just use this dip. It lasts for one dip, typically on a dip pen, depending on which one you get and how the feed is on the nib, it usually will not last very long. Surprisingly, these grooves are so deep that it lasts a long time with one dip. You get a lot of ink out with one dip. And it may not seem that way. This is, of course, remember, this is very sped up. So you're seeing me dip frequently, but I'm really not. I'm just, it's just how it looks on the video. I'm taking a lot longer time. And it worked great. I really enjoyed it. And I would really recommend anybody else who is just curious, just give it a shot. It's if you hear horror stories about glass dip pens, this one was the ESSSHOP, it's ESSSSHOP SandGlass dip pen. And I believe the ones that I have in the link below are for the white sand version. This has the black sand in it, and I couldn't find that again on Amazon. That's where she said she got it from, was Amazon. So I couldn't find it, and so I did find the one with the white sand in it, and it's the same pen, and it'll work the same. It's just nice. It's pleasant. Okay, so I just want to bring up today encouragement. I was watching a video earlier today, and I hate when people try and pull the "I must have it and you don't" card. Especially it's a motivational speech. They're trying to motivate people. Now, recently, I heard if you have to ask if it's a good idea, then maybe you don't have what it takes to be successful, because this profession takes someone who's willing to take risks and try things that have never been done before. So if you need a cheerleader or peer validation to move forward, then you don't have what it takes. Well, maybe that person, maybe they were asking you because you're successful and they value your opinion. Here's my advice to everyone out there. If you're going to take advice from someone, especially someone who you look up to, they're successful doing what you want to do, whatever that is. They need to be willing to be honest with you, of course, encourage you. They can tell you it's okay, that your idea isn't a good idea. Or maybe, hey, I really don't know. Hey, why don't you go try that and see if it's a good idea? But I don't know. But they don't have to complete. Yeah, I don't want to say those words on this channel, but they don't have to be that way. They can encourage you. There's nothing wrong with encouraging people. You build them up. You let them know it's okay to try an idea. It's okay to fail at the idea. It's a learning experience. Help them to move forward. Don't just sit there criticize. I hate that speech. I've been around business for a long time, and I've tried I've had a lot of different businesses that I've done. And if you're involved with any kind of sales, you hear that kind of speech from someone in that organization, someone that you're looking up to, someone that maybe has advice that you're trying to seek out. Well, they'll always give you that. Well, if you have to ask for validation, you don't have what it takes, because you have to have thick skin. And no, someone's asking you a question because they respect your opinion. The least you can do is be pleasant to them. You can make their day or break their day. So why not just be nice to them? And even if you don't know, say you don't know. Say, I really don't know. It sounds like it could work, but you might have to try it first. Don't worry if you fail at it. It's okay. But don't sit there and belittle someone because they're seeking out advice from someone who they think is successful. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. I had to get that off my chest because that just really irritates me. I don't like that. So while I was drawing this, I was looking at it from left to right. I tried to make it a part of the other side of the page and just kind of flow it over. It reminded me of, what was the name of that movie? Pleasantville. That's what it reminded me of. It went from black and white, and as you got to the right side and from the center over, it just turned into color. It just reminded me of that. I think it reminded me of it after I did it, not while I was doing it. While I was doing it, I was just trying to review the pen and draw with it and see how I liked it. But that's what it reminded me of. Okay, so something I was thinking about when I was drawing with this pen is, do you think that it's really quick. If you flip that pen over and fill one side with sand and then you flip it over to right with it, do you think it's just a novelty thing, or do you think that maybe you're supposed to do that and when it runs out, that's when you're supposed to, roughly around the time you should be running out of ink, and you should dip it again? It could be. I think maybe that's what it's for. So the question I have for you for today is, do you name your stuff? Are you one of those people? Let me tell you, my grandmother named her car. I remember that when I was younger. I thought it was a strange thing, but she named it Bessie, and I don't think she knew anybody named Bessie. But she just named her car Bessie. She used to call the car Bessie. And I don't know too many people that used to name their car, but I do know people that named other things. I had some friends that played guitar that named their guitars names, weird things. And I was thinking about that as I was putting the little googly eyes around the page and thinking about different characters, and would I actually name them? No, I wouldn't. But maybe you would. But are you one of those people? Are you one of those people that names things that you have? I don't. I don't think I have a name for anything that's inanimate in my life. But maybe I'm missing out. Who knows? I'd love to hear if that's what you do, and what you name, and where you came up with the name, and why you've named it that. Maybe I'll try. Maybe I'll try to name something. Maybe I'll name the characters on the page as I'm doodling or something, and try and fill you in on that. I won't keep you in the dark. But I don't know. What do you think? So this technique here, I was treating it like watercolor. This is the acrylic ink. I think it worked pretty good. It worked how I wanted it to. I did several layers, it faded. It dried a lot lighter than the way it looked when I first put it down. I just kept putting on layers. It kept getting darker, which is exactly what I wanted it to do. So it worked out well. And this is the Liquitex inks. Now they're acrylic ink, so technically I guess it's acrylic paint. I don't really know. I have to look into that. I don't really know the science behind it. But I know it's waterproof after it's dry, because I was able to layer and layer and just kept taking color. So if you've enjoyed this video, please click the like button. It tells YouTube that my videos are worth showing. Please subscribe if you want to see more drawings or doodles, reviews, and anything else I might have going on. And I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.